Hello everyone, this is Addy Mills here, and today I'm going to be showing you a tutorial on how to make perfect ports from Guitar Hero 5 and onward into World Tour Definitive Edition using my GH Toolkit. What I mean by a perfect port is that the ports that are currently on the Google Drive have a couple things that are slightly different or maybe lacking. For example, as you can see on the right hand side, this is the official entry for A-Punk in Guitar Hero. You can see that the song volume is -2, while in the current version it's actually boosted by 7 decibels. And there's no vocal scroll speed, and the drum kit used isn't what's in the official game. So I'm going to be showing you how to fix that using my toolkit. What you'll want to do is you'll want to put your files into a structure similar to what you see on the screen here, where a song's pack is by itself and you have a folder, and that folder contains the audio. Now, I will be using the PlayStation 3 audio, and I recommend you do as well, because that audio is the exact same as World Tour expects. The only difference is that there may be some padding, which we will strip out as part of this tutorial. Now, what you're going to want to do, and I created this little GH Proj, which is a project that my toolkit will read. I created a little template to make it a little faster, and I would recommend you do it as well. And I've added my toolkit to the path, so I can call it from any folder I want, but this would be the same as either dragging the GH project into the executable or double-clicking on the executable, going to option 1 and loading the file. So once that loads, it'll already be on Guitar Hero World Tour. It'll be blank. So I'm just going to fill in the detail. This case, A-Punk. And I'll give RazQ credit as well. Now, I would recommend you just put in a blank audio here, just because the compiler sometimes doesn't like it if the audio is blank, even if you're just compiling a single pack file. And for song data, you'll want to have a mid file in here. It doesn't matter. We're going to be overwriting it right away. Leave the rest of it blank and fill the bottom parts here to what you see in the official entry. Now, the drum kit says it's classic rock, but then it gets overridden for the individual parts by modern rock, with the exception of the snare. Since we cannot currently set individual samples per track in World Tour Definitive Edition, I'm just going to make it modern rock. The sticks are sticks normal. The vocal gender is male. The vocal scroll speed is this number here. So we're just going to round up because it's very, very close to 1.15, and that's most likely what Neversoft intended. There's no tuning sense to be aware of, and the overall volume is reduced by 2. In addition, you'll want the sustain threshold to be 0.45. That's because that is what was changed with Guitar Hero 5 and onward, and it was changed from 0.5. So the sustains might look slightly different if left at 0.5. Now you're going to want to use the new clips. You want to select guitar and bass mic just in case. Even if they're not used, it won't hurt it, but you want to have it selected. And you want to select modern strobes, as that changes the logic of the venues to be more like Guitar Hero 5 and onward. You'll want to put the logo and game category, Guitar Hero 5, and leave the rest blank. Unless you're converting a song like Plug-in Baby, where you can also add in the band. Next, this part doesn't really matter too much. The exception of beatlines BPM, you can change it if it's defined. It's not in this song, but it will be in Spider-Man when I get to that. And then you'll want to compile the pack only. Now this creates a test file. As you can see, it says complete. Now it will override won't override. It'll save a new version of the song in your mods folder. So in this case, A-Punk. And if I open this folder, you can see it has the added categories in the song info section of the INI file. Now we're going to convert the files themselves. So going back to the GH5 folder for me, I'm going to just close this one just because I'm going to go right into CMD. I'm going to the GH toolkit, and I'll show you how to do it using beginner mode first. I'm going to choose option 3, converting 5 to World Tour. And this will also be used for Warriors of Rock. I just chose 5 because the file structures are similar between the games. And it'll ask you to drag in your pack file. So that's the pack.ps3. Now it'll say you can add a performance override. We won't for this song. However, if you want to, you could add something like tap events like the older games had, or in the case of Warriors of Rock, we're going to add some play idle events because there is a glitch currently in the Definitive Edition where if a loop gets called while a clip is playing, like a moment clip is playing, then it'll actually continue on until the end, and it may cause some weird visual glitches. So we'll leave this blank for now, and we'll get back to it when we talk about Warriors of Rock. And now it'll ask you to drag in the folder containing your audio files from the PlayStation 3 version. If you're porting the 360 version, leave it blank, but I recommend everyone to use the PlayStation 3 versions anyway. So I'll drag this in, I press enter, and now it'll decrypt it, and it'll call this program called FSB-EXT, and it is now asking for the checksum, so it'll just type in APUNK, and what this does, it now has recreated the audio in a called audio stripped folder. And I don't believe GH5 had padded audio, but Warriors of Rock definitely does. But I believe it's a good idea to grab the official audio and it converts it right to a format that the game expects. So now we can cut these files. Same with the pack. So as a result, so this new audio stripped folder that I just put into the music folder was created, as well as this new apunk song.pack.zen. And you'll know it completed successfully when it's now, the extension is now .pack.xen, which is what the game expects. So we'll cut this, put this into the content folder. And that this is the one that we created as like a template, or with the template earlier. So this doesn't have the actual notes. So you'll notice it's only about 160 kilobytes. And you just want to copy it and replace it. So now it's almost 3 megabytes. And if we go into the game, save it. And I'm just going to delete the one from the drive, just so there's no clashes. And then if we go into the game, you'll see that it loads with the proper titles, and all lip syncs and animations are converted automatically without having to do anything manually. Now, as mentioned, the Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock port that's currently in the drive of Spider-Man has some broken lyrics. So we're going to be reconverting the whole song to make sure that it works properly in the game. So in this case, we will be using this _performance text file that was shown briefly. And I will show you now how to convert a Warriors of Rock file. So first, what we're going to do is we are going to open up our command line again. I'm going to open up my toolkit. In this case, I'm going to be using option 8, creating a mid from a pack file. And the reason for that is we want to see where the loop animations are, so that if needed, we can adjust the performance array or the script array so that we can add some idle events so that the band moments do not glitch in Definitive Edition. So the action I just did created a mid file, and we're going to be going into Reaper or any MIDI editor that you have. I prefer Reaper. You don't really need to use any templates. I'm just going to be looking for the one track called Band Clips. And what this does, so the toolkit will create this MIDI file, and it just shows you where a band clip starts and ends, as well as any loop animations by text events. So if you see vocalist, bassist, guitarist, that means that at this section here, the vocalist, bassist, and guitarist all have a loop change. And what that means, most likely, is that because it happens while a loop is playing, or in this case, it looks like two loops are playing, you'll want to add a play idle event unless the band clip, this previous one, is for the same person as the next one. In that case, you don't have to add a play idle event, but I'll show you how to do that now. So we're actually going to do a few more steps, and that is we are going to extract the pack that we just converted. So we'll do option 9. And all these can also be done from the command line. I'm just showing beginner mode because it is the easiest to use. So now in your folder, there will be a Spider-Man folder and extract folder. And we're going to want to grab the perf.xml.qb file. So now we're going to do qb to text. Drag that in there. Okay. So now you have a text file. This is the perf file. And I'm going to copy it to the other side, and I'll show you why. So in one of them, we're going to look for script events. And this lists out all of the scripts in the song. So it has facial animations. What we want to look for is both play loop as well as play clip. So if you look inside the MIDI at about just less than a second in, which is this first one, this orange one here, this orange bar, you see that there is a play clip. Now, we don't necessarily know who it's for, although from the name, it's most likely the singer, but we'll just copy and search for it in this other one. Basically, the clips are defined at the top of the file, and they're actually called in the bottom of the file. So that's why we look up 2 copies. So as you can see, so it's just the vocalist. There's no other character defined. So what this means is that for this particular clip at the end of it, which is, well, you have to zoom in a little bit, unfortunately, but usually on-disc songs will tend to end either in 33, 67, or 100, but that doesn't look like it's the case here, although it does start. So most likely what will happen is the clip will actually end here, and it starts here, and you can see actually there's a camera cut right here as well. So we'll put the play idle event for the vocalist, because that's the only one who was using this clip, right at 2.133. So we're going to just go into our performance, make a copy. So this is just a blank performance array with an example that I put in here. So we agreed that it would be 2.133. So we're just going to enter here 2.133. And now it's ready for the next one. Now we know we need to do this bass as well, just because of the fact that the loop starts right as soon as the clip starts. So we're just going to look up this clip name now. So that's only happens to the bassist. Now we know this will affect it just because the event is right at the start of this clip, so it will affect this loop as well. So at the very end of this one, which will be here, so it'll be 367. That'll be our next play idle event. We're going to go into our performance, copy it. I think that's what I said it was. Oh, 367. And you want to change the name to bassist. If a drummer ever gets called in a loop, he'll never need to be adjusted because he uses different, the drummer uses different idle loops entirely. It'll never get called. So then we're going to go to the next one. So if you ever see one that's just by itself that doesn't have a MIDI note attached to it, don't worry about it. So we have one here at approximately 1 minute. So we're just going to go scroll down here now to about 60 seconds. Okay, so here it is. This is Blue Orchard one. Most likely it's the singer because it has the S in the title there. Oops. Yeah, just the vocalist. And yeah, there is a vocalist event right at the very end. So in this case, we can just look for the loop itself, which is about, well, it's going to be at 102,400 or 62,400. And and we're going to want to put it in at the same time. So let's copy the vocalist one here so I can just change the time. There. Seems like we have a couple more here. Luckily, the song is short, so there shouldn't be too many. So 117, what was that, 77 seconds? Yes. Okay, so this seems to be a one for all of them. Not guaranteed, though. Actually, so even though it has GSB in the title, it's actually only for the guitarist. So in this case, we have to go to the end of the clip, see what this next clip is. And actually, we might not have to if this next clip involves the guitarist. Okay, and it does. So in this case, although there's a loop animation called right at the beginning, because the next clip, and they are right next to each other, also involves the guitarist, we don't have to worry about adding a play loop here, and we don't have to worry about the vocalist either, because neither of these clips include the vocalist. We do have another one here, though, about 129. So this one's guitarist and bassist. No, it's not. It's not the same one. It's this one. So just the guitarist again. And if this next clip again includes just the guitarist, then we don't have to worry about it. And I'm thinking it does, because they all seem to be the same. Nope, actually that's the vocalist. So we are actually going to need guitarist play idle, where the loops begin, which in this case 91,900. And excuse the slowness, I'm only using one hand because I'm recording or holding a microphone in the other. It's just my situation right now. I believe this was the guitarist. And we're going to need another one for the end of this clip, which is here, but it'll be at the next, it'll be the camera cut right before it. So 136,300, that's 96,300. And that will be for the vocalist. Yeah. And then there's just one more. So we know we probably have to place one. So we go to 2 minutes, 121. Is it 121? Yes, 121. So this is the singer, and then it. So that's the singer. And then we know it goes into the next one, which is where so most likely the singer will be in this next one as well. Yeah, all three of them are. So because this animation goes right to the very end of the song, we will not need to worry about ending it, because the last note is on bass, most likely, right here, this note here. So basically the song will end way before then. So we don't have to worry about canceling this loop. So that's it. We just save this file, with all the play idle events. And we're going to go back to our folder, and we're going to do the exact same thing as Guitar Hero 5. The only thing is, during one of the prompts, we're going to be dragging in a third file. So we're going to convert 5 to World Tour, drag in our pack file. Now we drag in our performance file as the text file. And now we drag in our audio as well. Now, Warriors of Rock does have padded audio, so you won't be able to use the PlayStation FSB directly. So that's why we are dragging in the folder here, just to make sure it works. And now in this case, the checksum is just Spider-Man, even though the song is called Theme from Spider-Man. They named it Spider-Man internally, so that's what we're going to name it. And it's done. So now we have a Spider-Man as well as that's the pack file. And now you notice it's actually a lot larger, and that's because all the loop animations automatically get added to your pack file. The only thing is you will need to add all of the loop animations to your toolkit, which I will show afterwards. And then we have the audio stripped, which is what we want first. So let's cut this. Mods. Oh, and I haven't made the Spider-Man folder yet, so I will just go do that real quick. I'm just going to... Okay. Okay. Everything else will stay the same. Well, not everything. We got to make sure that the song list stuff is correct. So there doesn't seem to be a volume, so we're just going to go back to 0 there. No tuning sense either. It is a modern rock drum kit. I don't know what sticks or what count off it is. It doesn't mention in here, so it's most likely going to be sticks, but you can always check the song itself by looking it up on YouTube. I will look at that later, and I will make sure that when I upload the file, it's proper. Now, one thing we want is the Beatsline BPM. Just want that to be 1 and 1. So basically, what this does is it will not show any eighth note beat lines, so it'll all be quarter note beat lines. And that's most likely because at the end it slows down. So they didn't want to have just randomly more lines showing up. Okay, so we save that. I think everything else is good. And then we compile. And now we will move the files. And then when we test it in the game, and it appears I forgot to allocate it to Warriors of Rock. I will make sure to change that beforehand. But as you can see, all the lyrics are fixed, and all the notes are exactly as they are in Warriors of Rock. So one more thing that we're going to need to do is add the animation loops to your toolkit so that you can automatically add them. Otherwise, it won't, and you'll have to find it yourself, and that kind of defeats the purpose of it being one click. So I'm going to show you. These are my source files, and unfortunately I can't share them just because they're too big in GitHub, but I could probably put a download link somewhere. I have these Anim Loops World Tour, which contain 1,800 items, which are all of the game's animation loops. So what you want, using the download, which I'll provide in the link below, you'll want to copy or extract it. I will put it in the zip file, extract it. You'll want to go into your toolkit folder, go into conversion files, just like in the source, and create one called Anim Loops WT, or just extract it into this folder. In this case, I'm copying. And that will allow you to get the toolkit to automatically add these animation files. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I understand it might be a little long, but I feel like it's worth it to get these perfect ports into World Tour Definitive Edition. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know in the comments below. I would be happy to answer them. Thanks.